You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
What's up, soccer fans? Welcome to a very special edition of Soccer Talks here on KC Sports Network. I'm Aly Trost Martin, joined by KC current midfielders Morgan Gautrat and Vanessa DiBernardo. And we've got a very special show for you today because we're actually out at the KC current training facility for a live in-person show, which is always fun. We've got some special guests here today watching as well. And yeah, we're going to have some fun today. So Morgan, Vanessa, thank you both so much for joining the show. We're happy to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. I want to start by just kind of going back in time, and I always love hearing the soccer origin story for everybody, whether you're a fan or a player. For each of you, how did that love of the game begin?
I'll go first, I guess. Yep. Yeah, I think when I was 4, my sister is 5-6 years older than me, and she played, and at that time I just kind of wanted to do everything she did, and so I followed in her footsteps, and we would always play against each other in the front yard and be really competitive. And, you know, I think that's kind of where it grew, was in the front yard, just playing around with my sister. And obviously I looked up to her. So that was kind of where I started playing, and I just kept playing because I loved it.
Does she still play at all? Or?
No.
At what point did it kind of become like, okay, Morgan's kind of taken over the soccer role here in the family?
I feel like, yeah, she played in college.
Okay.
Yeah, she played Division II. So she kind of like played throughout all of high school, but she didn't know if she really wanted to play at the next level. She was quite smart, so she definitely was in that regard better than me in the academic world. But she decided her senior year that she wanted to play in college, and she was a good player. But she kind of obviously had her love was other places than just soccer. But yeah, she was good and she kept playing. But I would say she probably hasn't touched a ball in I don't know. 10 years. Yeah, a long time. So, but she still loves to watch every game, and she plays pickup here and there, but you know, she's I don't know, 36 now, so.
Oh, that's fun. That she gets to like watch you, and that, I don't know, that you guys got to like kind of start that love, you know, just playing together as kids. She's the reason why I played, and I think that's kind of fun for her to watch as well, and to, you know, she's come to some of the World Cups and followed me from my whole career, and it's been great to have her and always been my support. And we'll definitely talk some World Cup later on, because obviously we're just a couple months away now. Not even a month or a couple months. I'm losing track of time. Vanessa, what about you? What is your soccer origin story?
Yeah, I mean, kind of similar, actually. I mean, my dad played professionally, so it was kind of ingrained in our family a little bit. But I have an older sister as well who played. So we would play in the backyard, and my dad would kind of kick the ball around with us. So definitely having him with his soccer background, and then also my older sister to play with and just kind of do it as a family was kind of my beginning story, I guess.
So at what point for each of you did you realize that going and playing professional was really on the radar?
Yeah, I think it was a little weird for our time. The league wasn't really established, at least this
Which
NWSL.
is crazy.
Yeah.
I always tell people that. I mean, I think we're all around like similar age. Like the NWSL was starting when I was entering college. So at no point did I ever, as a little kid, which is why it's so cool seeing young girls out at the stadium, like, no, you can actually see what a possible path to playing professional looks like. Like that wasn't always the case because of all the failed leagues when we were younger.
Right. So it was my senior year where the league started. So kind of like your senior year, you're kind of starting to think about it. It wasn't kind of a path you really thought of at such a young age, just because the league wasn't really there. You can always go and play overseas, which is a little different, but it was kind of nice senior year being like, oh, okay, this is something that I can go into, this is something I can keep doing, and kind of be one of those first players to kind of help make this league what it is.
And what about for you, Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, just thinking back on it, I feel like growing up, it was either make the women's national team to continue playing, or you don't, and you try to look into getting a different job, finishing your degree. So I think that when we were younger, it was obviously a tough situation because we didn't have that league that was stable to look to say this is what we want to do for our career. I do remember going to WPS games when I was younger, the Atlanta beat. So I feel like we did have that, but it just wasn't stable. So I think in being in college when I think it was my sophomore year when the league folded in your junior year. Mm-hmm. And then, so obviously when you're in the middle of your college career and you're thinking both being on the under 20 team, being in the national team fold, you either think, all right, we're going to either make the full team or we got to rely on our degree, and find out what we want to do next. So I think it was tough. Obviously we were taking one day at a time, 1 year at a time, but I think it's awesome to have little girls like playing the game now and little boys, obviously, to be able to watch this league and see that it is stable. It's been around for a long time, and you get to actually dream to be able to do this from the beginning. Whereas for us, we were obviously playing for the love of the game, but
there were a lot of questions.
Yeah, and if you didn't make the national team, you had to, kind of go into something different. So, and obviously it's 23 of the best players in the world, in the country, to play on the national team. So it's such rare air that it's really tough, obviously, as a kid to think, I'm going to make it onto the national team, and so I think for us it's great now that there's more teams coming to the league. It's going to be even more opportunity.
Well, and there is so much talent here, and that's why I think it's so cool to see just how, no matter how far down in the draft you get selected, like you have a chance to come in and make an impact on your team, and I think that's a credit to just how much talent there really is here in the U.S. So the more teams, the more opportunity that's going to produce. But as I'm sure both of you know, it's also a huge investment growing up as a kid to even get on the radar of the national team or the youth national team and to try and get yourself ready for that level. What was, maybe when you rewind and look back to like the youth days, what's kind of your biggest takeaway from that experience?
That's a loaded question.
I think everyone's like path is a little different. I think from the youth experience, for me, it was like getting into those different environments, and really the uncomfortable environments really pushed you to grow. Just going to camps, the club days is very different than when I was back in club. There was no ECNL, nothing like that. Yeah. So going into like region ODP camps and traveling abroad and just those environments, I think really pushed you as a player to get outside your comfort zone and still be able to compete and play and push yourself to play at the highest level. So it was very different back then.
Very different.
The look on your face right now is
so different.
Yeah.
I mean, just thinking now, club teams, these players are playing 4 times a week. They're training 4 times a week, and then they play games on the weekend, and you're not allowed to play other sports. And you played other sports. I played other sports. I played basketball and volleyball all through my high school career, like from junior, senior, all those years. I played basketball, which I loved, and I actually thought that really helped me cross train and also not get burnt out. But when I was so young, I think, you live and breathe a sport for that long. It's almost, you see so many of my teammates and my friends got burnt out even when they went to college. Yeah. And even before that. So I think that it's crazy to see the difference now and what they're asking these young youth players to be doing all the time is definitely different. But I think looking back, if I had to pick one kind of thing or one moment when I was a youth player, which is hard because there's a lot of moments, but I think and you probably have another story or a few, obviously, since we were kind of getting up there.
Ages.
Old, but
okay. Isn't it funny though how in sports it's like, I saw a meme one time and it was like, this athlete takes the field, 32 years old. It's a miracle they're even still but it's funny how sports and now especially there's 15-year-olds playing in the NWSL. Yeah. I can only imagine how. Yeah. Okay, but anyways,
yeah. Sorry, we're not old, but
you're
we're
not
getting
at all. At all.
I don't even know what I was gonna say. Oh no. Okay, sorry. So I think looking back, there's always that one story when you're a youth player growing up that you're going to have, that you look back on that kind of catapulted you into another level in your career. And I feel like for me, when I was 12, 13 years old, I didn't even make a state ODP team, A, B, or C team. And all my club teammates did. And it was really embarrassing, and I was sad, and obviously being a 12, 13-year-old and feeling left out and obviously not feeling good enough at all. Yeah. But I felt like I had a coach who believed in me, which is so important as a youth player. But also at that moment in time, I made a decision, okay, am I going to be sad? Is this going to make me not love soccer anymore? Or am I going to go the other way and train as hard as I can and try and be the best player I can be? And I think, thankfully, I had the right people around me as a youth player to kind of push me into the other direction. And I think the next year I ended up making the youth national team. So it was just one of those moments where I just feel like as a youth player, you're going to have failure. And it's just kind of like you said, a different journey is how you navigate it, how you respond. And I feel like that's kind of like something I've taken with me even to this time. And at 30 years old, you know, it happened 12, 13 years old. But I feel like those moments kind of, it's like the foundation of what you go back on.
Yeah, it's like such character building, and that's amazing that that's something that you still like reflect on today and take some of those lessons with you. But for each of you, you know, I always think it's so important to, and we see this a lot in youth sports sometimes, where it's like, it's very obvious that somebody else wants it for the kid way more than they want it for themselves. So for each of you, I mean, in a year's time to have that kind of turnaround, what did like training on your own look like? What did those days outside of practice or games with your team, tournaments, competitions, like what did that look like in each of your respective households?
Yeah, I mean, I had my dad, who was also my coach.
Dalton.
So it was kind of nice. We grew up playing all the time, the backyard, and our basement wasn't finished, so I'd go downstairs, kick a ball against the wall. And
sounds like my childhood.
Yeah.
Right now. Like that's exactly what our house is like.
I mean, my dad ingrained like your skill as something that's super important, so your first touch and stuff like that, and that's something that you can do on your own. And we'd always go to Michigan in the summer, and we would play, me, my sister, my dad, and my mom, 2v2 outside, and we'd always have a little bet going with it, who's cooking dinner, who's cleaning dinner, things like that. So we just, I think, enjoyed doing it outside of just like team environments. And I think that also put a little bit more fun into it as well. It wasn't always super kind of competitive. It was a fun family thing to do.
Yeah. What advice would you give young kids who, you know, have a dream of going professional or playing at like the highest possible level from all the things that you've learned? I love what you said about, you know, just putting in that extra work and wanting it and using failure as a chance to kind of rewrite the narrative and not let that be how it just is. And that's just something that happened instead of what's going to be necessarily the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think in just listening to you, I think we were very similar in like just you always are playing in the front yard. And obviously my club team trained once a week. So like, it wasn't like you were training 4 times a week and you just are getting all that, you know, repetition. It was like,
gave you time to actually miss it.
We had to actually do a lot on our own, you know, and it kind of gave us like that ownership over our development. But at the same time, it's hard, you know, as a younger kid to be motivated to do it. But I think, like you said, there's a lot of times where you see youth players that the parents want it more for them than they do. And it made me think of like one of the biggest things in my youth days. I felt like my parents asked me pretty much every month, do you want to quit? Like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, like I want to do it. So I never felt pressure to play. I never felt like they wanted it more than me. And I think that in turn, that also made me want to do it more because they were okay if I didn't want to play soccer. You know, I played in Florida growing up, so it was an hour and a half drive a few times a week, and we're spending a lot of weekends in Florida, and it was just a lot. So a lot of sacrifice on my parents. So I think that's also why they were like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yes, I want to do this. Stop asking me, you know? So I felt like, you know, a lot of times it wasn't feeling forced on me and like they wanted it more than me. It was one of those things where I was driving it. And I think that for me, my parents, I think, were huge, and just seeing the youth days of parents and how they were encouraging and supportive rather than, you know, trying to be your coach or trying to step into places where they probably shouldn't. And I think for me, my parents are a huge reason why I still love the game and had played it for so many years and never forced me to play.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about your professional careers, both of you joining Kansas City from Chicago, getting to dip your toe in the first ever free agency. Mm-hmm. How much went into that decision for each of you, and how has Kansas City been? Because when I first met you all, like you had literally just moved here like a week ago. So I was like, oh, you hadn't been anywhere yet. You've literally just gotten here. So how has it been in that adjustment coming to a new team in a new city?
Yeah, it's been good. I think it was a decision that you didn't make lightly. It was not an easy decision, but I think it was, at least for me personally, a decision to kind of get outside my comfort zone and try something new. And we've, as players, pushed for free agency for so long. And it was interesting because it came at a time where we didn't know if it was going to come for us or not for some players. And it kind of opened up opportunities for us that we never experienced before. So it's definitely a growth within the league. And as you could see, the first year with free agency was kind of wild. So I think it's definitely going to change the league and allow players to have a little bit more of a voice of where they want to play and kind of what they want to do within their own career. And it kind of gives the players a little bit more power over their own careers. I love it here. It's definitely an adjustment, but I've really enjoyed the city. The fans are honestly like amazing. The environments at the games are wild. And after we scored our first goal this weekend, Morgan's running back and she goes, I had chills. Wait, that's
I so cool. And I go, oh.
Like, wait, geez. After your goal?
And not my goal.
It was the first goal we scored this past weekend. Oh, Michelle. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, but that was like insane.
Well, it was 30 seconds.
The fastest goal.
It was like erupted
in history.
Like, oh my
gosh.
No,
that was really cool. What was that moment like for you going back to your goal against your former team in the Challenge Cup, and not just like any goal either. Like that was you have to be really proud of that goal, I would imagine.
Thank you. It was weird. I'm not gonna lie. It was weird. But it was amazing to see like how supportive my teammates were of me and that kind of experience. But it was weird.
Yeah.
But I'm very thankful to have my first goal for Kansas City, and it was a cool experience.
Did each of you get a chance after the game to like talk with some of your former teammates? Like what was that like?
Yeah, we hung out with them. They obviously came in the day before, and some of those girls are our best friends. Played a lot of years with them and have a lot of memories. So I think, it was good to see them, and obviously we talked to them, and I think, at the beginning of the year they had the better of us. So I think it's now even, and I think they probably felt a little bit of what we felt in the beginning. So, but yeah, I think we always will wish them well and want to see them do well too. So it's obviously hard to see some of it, but I think they, are happy for us, and we're very supportive of each other, and obviously will always be. So, all
right, let's talk a little bit of World Cup, because we are, as you both pointed out, only like a month away. Even though I was like, we're a couple months away. Nope, much quicker than that. Morgan, you were on the roster in 2015 as the youngest player, just 22 years old. What was, when you look back on that experience, what I guess resonates now?
Yeah, a lot, I think. I mean, it was such a fun tournament, honestly. I mean, having it in Canada in the backyard of the United States, I think was probably one of the coolest things in my career. I think just remembering the crowds and the seas of people and in red, white, and blue, and just being so supportive, and obviously the tournament going our way, I think is something that I'll always be really proud of. But thinking about the chills, there's 2 times in my career where I've gotten chills on the field, and it was one in the semifinal game of the Germany against Germany in Canada. I had the chills in that game, and then obviously this past weekend. So that's a little bit of an interesting fact. There you go.
I love it. What are some of your predictions, you guys, for what you think is going to happen this year?
I think this tournament will be probably the most competitive that there's been.
There's also a lot of stars, though, that are missing, too, which is really unfortunate with some of the injuries.
Yeah.
There's a lot of injuries across the board on all teams, which is really unfortunate, because obviously for a World Cup, it's every 4 years, and you want each team to be at their best. But obviously those things happen, and it's part of soccer. But I think, like you said, I think it's going to be the most competitive tournament, which I'm really excited. Obviously, in the last 2, I've been on the sideline, which obviously is sad for me, but I think there's an opportunity, obviously, to enjoy it as a fan for the first time in a while. So I'm kind of excited to see how it goes, and I think that some of the best soccer will be played in this World Cup across the board.
Any predictions? And will you be waking up at 2 a.m?
Oh gosh. I think I'll be
do we have a game? Probably not.
Yeah. I'll be watching the replays.
Yeah, replays. not on social media, and watching replays.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we always want the United States to win, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
But if I had to pick someone else.
Sleeper, dark horse, and another pick that you think will really have a good run.
I think Spain is good. Obviously, they're missing some players, some key players. But I think if they can get everything going in the right direction and click at the right moment, I think they're one of the teams that I think is going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, and I think it's been fun to be in this league for so long and play with so many international players that when you do get to the big tournaments, you kind of root for them individually as well.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of fun to watch those games and kind of know those people individually and kind of cheer them on as well.
For sure. Well, okay, I want to thank you both so much for your time up to this point. It's been great chatting with you and hearing different things that you've had to share about your career at different points in life. But I want to close out with some fun questions for each of you. Morgan, these are fun, I promise. You shared the 2 moments that you've had chills on the field, but for each of you, what is a moment that you've been the most nervous before a game?
World Cup final, 2015.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I would say the U20 World Cup final for me.
Yeah.
And I would say an NWSL final too. Yeah.
At what point in like a final do those nerves like finally go away? Is it like when the whistle blows or like
once you kick off?
Yeah.
I think you're like, okay, this is happening.
Here
I don't
we
have
go.
time for nerves.
Do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for each of you, you're both friends. You played together for a long time. Which celebrity friendship would you use to describe yours?
Oh no, we're awful at this. We don't know anybody.
Don't know celebrity names.
We don't know
like
anyone.
really bad.
We're probably the 2 worst people in that.
Or any
category.
or is there like a movie or like any sort of like show?
Oh no.
What were you gonna say? I'm scared.
I don't know if it's appropriate.
Oh
Yeah.
We can always cut it.
You can cut it. Okay,
we'll bleep it. We'll have people
talk about
guess.
Sex in the City.
yeah.
Okay, which ones are you in the show?
Oh gosh. You
Great
or
show.
Carrie.
I've never seen it, so
Yeah, she's actually never seen it. But there were 4 of us that we jokingly were like, we're Sex in the City. I think you were Carrie. They're gonna kill us. Alyssa was Miranda.
Listen there.
Okay, I was going to say it. That's who I assumed. Yeah.
Brooke, LB was. Oh, maybe she was Carrie. I don't know.
I can't help you because I don't know names.
This is incredible. Well, okay, that's Sex in the City. Got it. Great show. I'm a huge fan. Not as much of the reboot, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, now some more kind of fun ones. Would you rather be 12 inches tall or 12 feet tall if you had to pick?
12 inches taller?
Or no, 12 inches tall, like this.
Whatever,
or
12
inches.
feet tall?
Or 12 feet tall.
Oh,
12 feet tall?
Probably 12 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've always wished for a little extra height. So it would be kind of sad to go the other way.
By a lot.
Yeah.
Just put you in your pocket.
But then you could travel with in a little,
yeah,
you know,
don't need to buy an airline seat. You're just
12 feet tall. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's
not much.
It's pretty tall. Okay, if you could have one, like a lifetime supply of anything, what would it be?
Yeah.
What's the first thing that came to your mind?
I don't know yet. What was yours? Because it sounds like you have something.
The first thing that came to mind is dachshunds.
Oh, gosh. Please no.
But I wouldn't say that.
But like
It's just
only
the first thing
12
that came to
inch,
my mind.
like long dachshund.
Only 12 inch.
Yeah. Just all small
Life
ones, not
supply.
12 feet long. Okay.
A lifetime supply.
Of anything.
I'm a big foodie.
Okay.
So just like really good food. Like every meal is like really good.
Perfect. That'd be a good one. Okay. I love it. Well, favorite emojis that you use. What are your 3 top emojis? You can, we can cheat here.
I definitely do the crying, laughing face.
Crying, laughing. Red heart. Roll the eyes.
I've been going with the teal heart lately.
I don't have the newest update.
Oh, the teal heart's a nice touch. Yeah, the laughing, crying face, the teal heart, and kind of like the smile with the rosy cheeks.
All right, I love it. Well, that's the end of the rapid fire, scary, funny questions. You guys are free to go. No, but Vanessa, Morgan, thank you both so much for taking the time to join us on the show today. We appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
We had fun.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
fun.
Well, that is it for this episode of Soccer Talks here on KC Sports Network. For Morgan, Vanessa, and our entire crew here watching and producing the show, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching this production of KC Sports Network, the fastest growing sports media network in Kansas City. Check out these videos that feature our team of more than 15 former players, insiders, and analysts bringing you the best Chiefs coverage you can find. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.